Differentiating rational functions, it's not difficult at all. It's actually pretty easy. It's just really tedious, little details in there. So let's just go ahead, let's go into it. So if we're going to find the derivative of this, we're going to do f prime times g minus f times g prime over g squared. I know it's confusing because it's called f prime. This is just kind of more of our rule. Like I showed you before, that rule, high d ho over, all that nonsense. But that's why they want to differentiate it, so you don't get so confused by f prime. I mean, you could call the top h if you want to. Just the point is, this is the derivative of the top, that's the top, and so on. So what is f? F is x squared minus 2. So f prime is 2x. And what is g? G is x minus 1, so g prime is 1. And I know this first example is simple. This example is a little more difficult, so I'll be going over both, don't worry. So running it through our rule, we're going to do f prime times g. So that's going to be 2x times x minus 1 minus f times g prime over g squared. Now technically this should be good for a free response, but we're going to go ahead and simplify it. That's where all the work comes in. So I'll get 2x squared minus 2x. Then over here, distribute the negative. And then usually the confusion is if we have something here that also has to get distributed. Now we'll leave the bottom factored. It's already simplified. Combine like terms, 2x squared minus x squared is just x squared. And sometimes you could factor the top and cancel and all that. Not usually though. If it does, then do it. You know, more for the multiple choice. If you can't find your answer to the multiple choice, you might have to do something like that. Okay, this one's a little more difficult. So we'll go through this one as well. F is x squared plus 1. So f prime is 2x. And then g is the one that kind of ruins this one. So g is 2x squared minus 3x. So g prime is 4x minus 3. So once again, f prime times g, so 2x times 2x squared minus 3x minus f times g prime, so f is x squared plus 1 times g prime is 4x minus 3. Then all of this over g squared. So no issues right here. Distributing the 2x, that shouldn't be a problem. I'll show you where the problem ends up. So we end up with 4x cubed minus 6x squared. No problems yet. Here's the problem. Is this negative? So we know we got a FOIL over here and bring in the negative. So your choice, you can bring the negative just to this here and then FOIL. I'm going to FOIL first and then distribute the negative at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and put a minus and then I'll distribute this over here. So if we FOIL that out, x squared times 4x is going to give me 4x cubed. Then minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 3. We actually have no like terms to combine on this one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute that negative, not until I put a giant fraction sign. I forgot to make this squared. Let's distribute that negative and then combine like terms. So 4x cubed minus 6x squared minus 4x cubed. And I know some of you guys can do that in your head, but I'm going to tell you, I could do it in my head as well, but that's usually when I would make my mistakes, is when I try to do something like that in my head. You know, you're going quick and you just you accidentally, you know, you're thinking I'm going to FOIL this, and while I'm at it, I might as well just make everything the opposite. And sometimes that's when the little errors pop up, and that's whenever this gets a little more difficult. So we have 4x cubed minus 4x cubed, those cancel out. There's no, okay, x squared, negative 6x squared plus 3x squared is negative 3x squared. And then there's no other x term, so minus 4x plus 3. Well, that simplified quite a bit. And that's pretty much it. I mean, sometimes it might factor a negative out of the top and put it in the very front here. But I think that's fine like that. Make sure you know that negative you see how I made it small inside the fraction sign because it just applies to that x squared term, that negative 3x squared. If you put your negative like this, people might think it applies to the entire top. So you got to be careful with that kind of stuff, those details.